Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I am your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ media production. Way back many moons ago in 2017, I had a crazy idea that I was not alone as a restaurateur and a business owner. I believed in the internet. We opened in a very difficult location in 2008 in a very difficult time. And we persevered thanks to all the tools that are on the internet. In 2017, when we launched this show, we believed that there were other people on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on TikTok, on LinkedIn that were out there that were just like us. And here we are, fast forward 2024, and we've built an incredible community of like-minded individuals. We believe a rising tide lifts all ships, and we've been able to connect with technologists, founders of incredible tech companies, restaurateurs, content creators, sales professionals, marketing professionals all over the globe, just because we were willing to look stupid and sound stupid. The amount of people that we've been able to talk to that are building some of the coolest things for our industry. Sometimes I have to pinch myself, and the amount of people that I've met, you, the listener, I'm blown away. You know, we fortunate to travel all over the United States and all over the world, and we've had some really, really cool meetings with you, the listener. You guys are building some really cool stuff, and we're grateful that you listen to the show. Today, we have a founder, CEO, Gary Campbell. You can find him at WineView app. He is revolutionizing how restaurateurs bring wine programs into their restaurant, how you help us sell more wine for restaurant owners and for people that are just the general public, how to make wine more accessible. Gary, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Sean. I really appreciate it. I've been following you for a while. I know we talked before about kind of Andrew Simmons in the kind of realm there, but yeah, no, we're super excited. And obviously, you being Toast content creator, us being a Toast partner, that is just so many connections. So I'm glad we were finally able to get together. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, let's kick it off for the audience that doesn't know about WineView. Bring us into the investor pitch. Like
Sure. Yeah.
everyone has a pitch. You have a crazy idea. You wanted to jump off a ship and build an app.
Yeah.
Give us what you're building.
Absolutely. So elevator pitch is WineView is the true and only all-in-one solution for wine programs and eventually alcohol programs available for restaurants. So that's the elevator pitch. But if I were just to expand just a little bit, we have found that there's really three key components of any alcohol program. There's the inventory management side, there's the staff education side, and then there's the guest interaction side. And we currently have solutions for two of these. And the third, which is inventory management, is something we're actively building. So we're here to finally kind of bring it all together. And I think you would agree, Toast strategy, right? Like I've talked to operators like, if it doesn't integrate with Toast, I'm not going to work with them. And I think they're getting a step further and they're starting to say, if it doesn't do more than just one niche functionality, why would I have three things if I can use one company that kind of does it all? So anyway, that's WineView in a nutshell. I'm excited to share some more today.
Tell me, what were you doing before WineView? Why,
Yeah,
why the impetus to go all in, to burn the boats and build this app?
sure. So that's definitely a two-parter there. I think one is it's interesting. I did not get to your level in the media space, but I was actually at a small multimedia company. I believed in the same thing for small businesses just abroad, and I built websites, did social media, content creation. And my current claim to fame at the moment from that space, I got to work with a really, really talented American Idol singer. His nickname was the Garbage Man. He got to sing with Luke Bryan and stuff on the show. But yeah, what kind of got me, and that's a whole nother story, is how I met my co-founder. But to go all in on this, so I found that I had a lot of interests that overlapped with this company. One, I like to build teams. I really, really enjoy getting people together on a project to build something really, really awesome. Love wine. I've always had a passion for wine, and this is just an excuse for me to go out to restaurants occasionally and do tons of research. And of course, there's the technology component, which I'm a huge believer in. And I just saw how, like you mentioned, tools on the internet, is just continuing to optimize and be able to allow these small companies to operate at really high levels and compete with the big boys. So it just combined a lot for me, and it just kind of worked out. And when we got to the point that we could, we kind of went all in on it.
And how'd you find your co-founder?
Yeah, so that is the Doug Kiker story. I'll try and keep it short. I've told this a few times, but pretty much in essence, I was doing multimedia. My co-founder is an attorney or was an attorney by trade for 20 plus years. Delved into sports and entertainment, and I'd done work with her in the past. Her name's Angela Kane, and she had this client. He was on American Idol. He blew up. I think he had the most viewed audition tape ever. It was just that it was a tear jerky. It was perfect, right? You would really appreciate the video work on that. But he was missing a lot of teeth. He sang on the back of a garbage truck. Had an operatic voice from singing so loudly. So anyway, he blew up. So she started representing him and called me and said, "Hey, we've got this guy. He has nothing. He doesn't have an Instagram. He doesn't have a YouTube. He is unknown." And people were looking, right? There's like
Yeah.
9 million people. Like, where is this guy? Where is this guy? 'Cause everybody has social media. So anyway, took that project on, and he ended up getting knocked out in the second round. He just wasn't an experienced singer, but the fans freaked out so much that they said, "We're not watching the show." Their ratings nosedive, and they brought him back on the season finale of that show. And that's my claim to
Wow.
fame, is he sang with Rascal Flatts in my old house where I lived on the coast in Alabama. So that was pretty cool. But I met my co-founder Angela through that process, and we were negotiating a contract out in California for him to come back on the next season. They wanted like a whatever you call it, a comeback story, right? And it was out there in California. Went to a vineyard, and I just again and again saw the same issue with just presenting wine. And I have an example here of just one thing I want to mention. It's like when you look at a wine list like this,
Yep.
it's just anyway. This is what I saw, and I pitched it, and she was immediately on board. Was like, "This is awesome. This sounds great." And of course, there's been a lot of pivots and changes listening to the market. But yeah, that's in a nutshell how we met and how we have been working on WineView.
And how did you raise capital?
Yeah, by stumbling around a
Just
lot.
asking,
Yeah, kind of.
lots of asking.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. I think it's pretty cool to have alternate sources of funding, like Start Engine and some other crowdfunding. We didn't go that route, but I initially submitted a lot of applications. I entered a lot of pitch competitions. Got really good at being told no. And then we were planning on being headquartered in Atlanta, and news got out one way or the other. I believe Angela had some contacts. Somebody heard that we were raising, and from Birmingham, Alabama, they sent kind of a, "Hey, we want you to come check out the city." And I was like, I don't know what's in Birmingham. They don't have a tech scene, which has been very impressive to see. That has been the exact opposite of my original expectations. But they invited us over, made a lot of intros, just really, really warm welcome. Kind of rolled out the red carpet, frankly. And one thing led to another. I met a gentleman, James Childs. He's a very well known attorney in the Southeast for startups. He loved it, and he found every really angel investor that had a wine cellar in their house, and they immediately said, "Yep, I'm in. This is wine. I love it." And yeah, pretty much from there, we've just been raising angel capital since then.
And talk about working with vendor partners. Well, let's talk about Toast. I've got my Toast hat on that I made. I'm
Yeah,
a Toast unboxing guy. I'm on the Toast customer advisory board. Obviously, we are huge advocates of Toast, and we have a YouTube series called Family Style. We have another show called Restaurant Influencers. A lot of the storytelling that we do, Toast is at the heart of it, and Toast growing at the rate that they're growing. Many companies, many founders that come on our show, many founders that I meet with on Zoom, many people that send me messages on LinkedIn. They want to know what's the secret. How do they partner with Toast? Give us your Toast partnership story.
sure. Yeah. Short answer is if you pretty much got to get in person, and I think the story how we got there is really awesome. But it's a lot of persistence. You have to have a unique value prop. They're going to ask you a ton of questions about mutual customers. You need to know your market, right? You can't just say, "Hey, we think this is a good fit." You have to know how many Toast customers are good fits. How many do you currently have? How many do you integrate with anybody else? What's your track history? Just there's a lot of questions, so be prepared for that. But the story is kind of really unique, and luck is involved too. I'll say that just straight up. So we were at the National Restaurant Show in Chicago, which by the way we'll be at. I think we talked about this
We'll
in
be
May.
there.
We're gonna awesome. This is the
Whoever's
first year we're
listening to
gonna have a
this.
booth.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Oh, this is a
Yeah.
big deal. Anybody that's listening to this, we'll schedule time. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but we'll definitely stop by the WineView booth,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we'll
We're in the
create some
beverage
content
room.
together. Sweet. Oh, now I have a reason to go to the
Yeah,
beverage
that's
room.
right.
I've
That's right.
spent 3 years at the show and haven't even had I've been so we've been so in the digital hospitality side of the show that we haven't even made it over to the
Oh
beverage room.
man.
Now I've got a reason to go.
I'm going to introduce you to Macedonian wines. I mean,
Sweet.
just incredible. Oh yeah.
Let's do
Yeah.
it. All
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah, so we were at the show. This was our first year there, and we had just begun to realize the importance of POS integrations. What we thought originally is we were standalone, and you quickly realize you're just a cog, right,
Yeah.
in a giant tech stack that restaurants need. So we kind of walked the floor, and obviously there's a ton of point of sale companies represented there. Had several conversations with Square. Saw Aloha there. And kudos to Angela. She's just the queen of trade shows. She just walks right up to, she can literally look and say, that person's partnerships, walks up and says, so what do you guys, what,
How
yeah,
does
she
she know?
knows.
What's the secret?
She'd have to tell her method there, but just kind of the way that they act, who's congregating around them, looking at badges. There's like I think she's like got a whole matrix. Just
A
she can like
matrix.
scan. Yeah, it's incredible. But she walked up and asked everybody, "What do you have? What's your solution for wine programs?" And very simple question, and they kind of go, well, nothing, right? And it's just something that people don't think about. They take it for granted. It's such a ingrained problem. And she did that with several, and we went up to toast, and she said, "What do you guys do for wine programs?" And they were like, "Well, we have kind of an inventory piece," and they were still developing inventory at this part. And we got to talking about kind of what WineView was up to, and some stuff that we had, because we had some Toast customers mention it. We had an investor who also had a Toast terminal who was a sommelier. So just had a lot of good congruencies. So we hit it off really well there. And then about 6 months, 8 months later of going back and forth, negotiating and kind of sending paperwork, right? Lawyers got involved, of course. We kind of got to terms, and we went into beta. And all in all, about 10 months later, we were live, which was
Wow.
last January of 23 was when we launched.
That's amazing. And tell us about the rollout. I mean, how did it go? How is it
Yeah.
going? How are people coming to find out about what you guys do?
Yeah. So I thought when we launched that, okay, now we really know what we're doing. We're good. We're good. We're just gonna ride on this current software, and we're good to go. And obviously, I was yet again educated very quickly that there are lots of different scenarios that we need to kind of figure out, different areas that people need. Like that's where the three circles have really come into play, which is I quickly realized just how important inventory management is. It sounds like okay, there's plenty of solutions for inventory management, but apparently there's a massive gap where we're beginning to hone in on. But yeah, it was well received. I mean, March we did fantastic. A lot of wine bars came to us. I did not expect that to be frank, because I was like, okay, it's a smaller unit. They don't serve a lot of food. They have somms on staff traditionally, and I was just blown away. Wine bars, places with sommeliers,
Mm.
high end steakhouses, all the places I expected, like the casual fine dining, Italian restaurants, places that really I was like, yeah, that's our customer. I was just mainly surprised by the places that you would think, because I get the question all the time, well, what do Psalms think of this? Are they threatened or whatever? And absolutely not. They look at it as a tool in their tool belt.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been a really good rollout, and we're just continuing to be excited. I've got a really cool map over here that has the United States, and I have a dot of every city and location we've gotten demos
Can
from
we see
live
it?
customers. Yeah. Give me a second. Let me
Yeah,
grab it. No.
whoever's listening to this, you got to watch our YouTube page, Cali BBQ Media. Go to the YouTube page so you can see the video. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate it. But we have video, and here's the map. That's what I'm talking. I'm a big map guy.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a
I've always
visual
been a
guy.
visual map guy.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I've got a lot of updates I need to do on this. It's about six
Are
months out
those
of date.
clear? Are they clear pins?
No, they're just small.
We need some color.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Gary, I'm gonna get you some colored pins.
Okay. I mean, I was hoping that these were colored enough, but maybe the lighting's killing me here.
Maybe
But
the lighting's I see a
I'll
lot of dots on there, but there you go. Now I can see it. There
yeah,
we
I'll
go.
zoom in on the
Now we're talking.
northeast. So
Now we're
the red
talking.
that you see is demos booked. Green is live customers.
Sweet.
White's just places I've been to, which is kind of fun. But yeah, we've seen just some quick stats for you. So
And this
um,
is just United States. You guys haven't no London, no Canada.
I've got one that is in Canada. I just was thinking and I've got a couple folks in like the Bahamas and stuff, like really North and South America. I just am trying to figure out how to fit that onto this board. So I may need several pieces of like, okay, here's the North America with Canada, here's Europe and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's been really fun to watch and talk. It just really, I guess my biggest takeaway, and I think I speak for all founders, it's when you have the ability to talk to people from all walks of life, all kinds of concepts from, you know, minimum, $30 glass of wine, Italian steakhouse to, hey, we just opened our wine bar a year ago. Wine sales are lower than we want. We need help. All over the United States, and just hear the same three problems come up again and again and again, no matter who they are, where they are, what they're doing. It's been really cool to see that validated. So that's been really exciting.
Can you tell me more about the actual wineries and the distributors? Is there a play there? Do you have partnerships that you're working on? How do you get them involved in participation?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the challenges of if this ends up being a true platform, governing, kind of making sure that nobody gets too much
Yep.
access. That's been something we've been trying to navigate. Is okay. I love the idea of working with distributors and suppliers to, be able to show video content,
Yep.
shots of their vineyards, tell the story, right? Because
Yep.
everything's about telling the story. It's been a little interesting, figuring out how do we give them access and influence without corrupting and becoming a very sponsored or very ad heavy application that ruins the experience for consumers. So we're kind of taking it really slow in that space. So yeah, that's kind
Tell
of
me
where we're at.
about the educational side, the content side.
Yeah, so the other really big piece, there's really two main sides. There's a staff component and there's a guest component. We have those high-end places. Some want the interactive digital lists. Some people just want their staff. They're like, you know what? We want our guests to be able to walk into a restaurant, sit down, and be completely taken care of. So um, this is where we developed kind of like the wine. We call it the WineView training. Not the sexiest name ever, but it's pretty understandable. What we do is there's three key components here. We create training for them based around their wine program, which is unique because it actually focuses on their regions, their varietals, their menu. We deploy it for them every week, and then they get a report. So, who are my top servers? Who needs maybe some nudging? Who do we need to reward? So, it's really turned into this kind of all in one. We have all the information from Toast. We create this really curated training for you. We send it out for you, we report it for you. And it just takes a lot off of the load because the traditional, if you're not familiar with traditional wine training, you'll bring in a distributor, right? They'll do a tasting, which is great. I'm a huge supporter of that. I mean, we can't digitally taste wine and that
Yep.
would ruin it anyway, right?
Yep.
But what tends to happen is there's a really big challenge with retention, which we are trying to solve for with micro learning. So every week, it's a 5 to 7 minute course. It's gamified. It's interactive. And then we have that competitive part. Who's going to get the top score? Who's going to get a free bottle of wine at the end of the month? So it's really just trying to stack on top of what they're doing, because it's hard. It's hard to create training. The LMS systems as they exist today, you have to go in, you have to create the course. That's hours of time. You have to deploy it. Then you have to pull the metrics, and then you have to remove the staff if somebody quits. It's just a big nightmare. So yeah, that's in a nutshell the training component that we're really excited about.
So we have some breaking news. Gary's going to show us for those of you that are watching on video. We haven't done any kind of product release on this show, but Gary, can you share with our audience and audio and speak? Give us a play-by-play for those that are just listening for podcast of
Sure.
what you're doing, why you're doing it, and when it's available.
Yeah, so this is something that has been in the works for the past really 6 months. So all of last year, like I said, we got so much great feedback from Toast customers that said, "Hey, can I do this? What about that?" I would really love it if you guys did this. And, you always have to filter between nice to haves and need to haves.
Yep.
But we feel like we really nailed it here. And I'll share my screen. This is the bubble that is guest facing. So this is for places. We have a perfect example, a wine bar in Hood Canal, Washington. They have 600 bottles of wine, huge selection. And they have this massive wall of wine. And they don't really have a lot of staff. They don't really do a lot of food pairings. But their challenge is, even though they're both sommeliers, how in the heck are they supposed to know all 600 of their wines that rotate every month? So this solution is called the List, is what we're calling it. It's a tablet-based technology, and I'm going to join so we can show. Accept. Perfect. And yeah, pretty much what we were talking about earlier. We have just the past 2 weeks, we've gotten it approved through just our current customers. It's so new, it's not on our website. We haven't done any press releases. This is rolling out off the press as we speak. So this is the first public appearance of this new release. So very excited to show you.
The results are in. National Restaurant Association show. Kyle and Sarah and myself, we were at the Davos sales tax booth, and we were polling restaurant owners on the floor. This was a very unscientific poll, but the results are resounding. Restaurant owners do not like sales tax. Nobody likes sales tax. Doesn't matter what business owner you are, small business, big business. Davo automates the sales tax process. We are so grateful that Davo is the sponsor of this show. They automate sales tax at our Cali barbecue restaurants. It is $50 a month. It integrates with all the major point of sale partners, including Toast. So if you want to sleep at night, if you want to not worry about sales tax, go to Davo, check them out. Davo Sales Tax. Let us know how they're helping automate your sales tax in your restaurant so that we can share your Davo story on digital hospitality.
Hey everyone, Avi Gorin, CEO and co-founder of Marquee, and I want to talk about the customer journey for a second. You never know as a restaurant owner where your guests are truly coming from. End of the day, we do see some patterns around two types of search behaviors: direct versus discovery. Direct search, for an example, would be jumping into Google and saying Cali barbecue hours, right? I know where I want to go to eat, but I'm missing a key detail. I need a little bit more information. Discovery, which is the bulk of searches, is barbecue in San Diego, restaurants near me, takeout near me, right? One of the best ways to be found for more discovery searches is leveraging keywords. Reviews are basically free content for you to leverage. Think about keywords that are relevant to your brand, your location, and include as many of those in your review responses as possible, right? How can you go about doing this? Let's set up reports, utilize tools like Google Trends, find out what's going on in your area and how you can help leverage these keywords and review responses, because someone else is doing that, right? If you need some examples, you could do anything from including summer menu, gluten-free menu, leverage specific menu items like the dreaded and beloved spice pumpkin anything in your review responses, right? Let them know what's coming. Let your reviewers know something they should come back and try. And of course, if all of this just seems overwhelming and daunting because you're already running a restaurant and have enough on your plate, just leverage the team at Marquee to do this for you. We handle all of this. We're experts in this space. We can automate this so it's just another item that you know you are taking care of. Again, that's marquee.com, marquii.com. No U. However, we did recently buy marquii.com. So if you do misspell it, we got you. You'll still find us. We can still help you.
So as I mentioned before, this is the first public viewing. We've just been keeping it internal, and we're literally this week going to be rolling it out to the public. Ads will be starting and PR and all that fun stuff. So this really, first off, let's talk about Toast for a second. There's several solutions for digital wine lists. Of course, I think ours is the prettiest at this point. But what's beautiful about our Toast partnership is that if you run out of wine mid-shift, right? We've all been there. We pick out a wine and we say, this is the wine that I'd like to have. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Check the back, we're out. Well, you run out in Toast using their countdown feature. It'll hide it from WineView automatically. If you change pricing, which I know, I think I saw several articles talking about flex pricing and that whole conversation. Our prices update live based off the toast system as well. So all of that data pulls through. And if I click on wine here, I've got all these filters, and this is the view I'd like to show. So it really, to me, it's all about the story, right? And a story is visual. So you can actually see the wine that you're going to be having. You have the tasting notes. So if I click, let's say I'm interested in the Sauvignon Blanc, I've got tasting notes here. I've got these filters. I've got all my pricing options. And it's just a really,
This is
really,
amazing.
yeah. Yeah. And it's all pulled from Toast as well. So the description they have in there, we do this for them if they like, but all of this is customizable through the Toast POS.
So we don't have a robust wine program at Cali Barbecue, but I remember we do have 24 beers on tap, and being a beer a beer capital of the world here in San Diego, I remember making graphic menus and doing work like this, but it was so much work. Like having this digitally pulled from Toast is magical because it tells the story. You know, the people that care about the craft beer or the people that care about wine, they want to know where is the brewery or where is the vineyard, or, you know, give me the story behind it. Give me the alcohol percentage. Give me, you know, let me educate me, because that's
Exactly.
part of my experience.
Yes, 100%. And it all goes back to time saved. I mean, having this version to be able to just literally to turn on the integration, you tap a button, everything pulls over. Within 72 hours, you have a draft to review, and you can roll this thing out in within 2 weeks.
It's
So
amazing.
it's very, very quick. And you can see as well. So let's just say, okay, Sauvignon Blanc, all these are tappable. So if I click on light white, it's going to take me back to the screen and show me all of the light white wines at that restaurant. I can filter by region, style, type. The restaurant can set top picks if they want to highlight specific wines. Going back to the distributor conversation,
Hmm.
there's just so many different things we can do. And another, this is one of my favorite pieces, and this also pulls from Toast, but this food pairing route. So their entire menu from Toast pulls too, as well as their quantity. So they run out of a menu item, hides it automatically. And if I tap here on pair one, just like that, you have three wine pairings to have with your meal.
That's really cool.
And I say, okay, great. Add, I want a 9 ounce glass, add to my picks. And we have a summary page here. And then pretty much table of five, there's their entire one. It saves on reprinting costs, it saves on the hassle factor. If the som can't be at every single table, like we work with sommeliers that use this application table side, like because most people think, well, whoa, the som wants to, have the complete control. Well, they do now because they can choose what pairings show up, what's highlighted, because they can't be if they sit, 70 tables, they can't be at every single one, right? So it's an extension of themselves, is how we've seen it play out.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, all categorized, all pulled through, and you can search as well. You can get dynamic and say, I want Cabernet Sauvignon, I want French Chablis, I want organic wine, and just like that, you have the results. So going back to that example of the 600 bottle wine shop in Washington, they're mounting two iPads on their wall, and people can now search anything they want, and they have it instantly pulled and synced with Toast inventory.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll put links into the show notes for people so that they can go on your website and learn more. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about the Andrew Simmons story? Andrew Simmons is a friend of the show, friend of mine. He is a owner that builds in public. As we like to say, he creates content on LinkedIn. Now he's doing videos of pizza robotics and automation on TikTok. He's doing it on Instagram. This is why we do the show, is that, you know, as business owners, we've never been given tools like all of these social media apps that are available to us. Like, I literally, if you have an iPhone, you have a full media production team in your pocket if you have the courage to pull it out and look stupid and sound stupid. But eventually we get better as business owners at telling our story. And that's, you know, one of the inherent theses of this show. And that's why, you know, you and I are connected, is I'm willing to do stupid stuff. And sometimes it's not stupid because I believe in it. You know, I'm very passionate about technology in restaurants, in hospitality, improving guest experience, making these magical moments where we don't even realize that we're using a really cool app, that I'm going to learn something about a vineyard, with my wife, and we're going to share that memory from a restaurant and eventually maybe even go visit that winery. I mean, that's deep. That's deep storytelling. That's deep hospitality. Can you share a little bit about, how you came to find Andrew Simmons and what he's been doing with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, just before I jump into that, that you mentioned kind of how deep this can go. You just highlighted some very interesting points on our roadmap, which we'll leave it at that since
Yeah.
it's so early. But that's such a great insight that you had there. Yeah. So Andrew Simmons. So just speaking about the power of media. So we stumbled upon him, I believe, on LinkedIn. This was about 2 years ago, when he kind of first started, or he was doing some stuff. He made the news. Somehow we found him, and he obviously had Mama Ramona's. That was
Yep.
his first location. He was getting in there and kind of shaking things up. Which, as we know, people have had mixed opinions. I love it. I think it's a really cool thing he's up to. And we just reached out. I mean, just said, hey, saw that you're really kind of aggressive in the technology space. You're not,
Yep.
you're not
Not
afraid to
shy.
try. Yeah, not shy at all. No, I love Andrew. He is a
Yeah.
machine. And we just connected. I jumped on a demo with him. We had just launched. I think it was in. By the time we got a demo with him, it was in February of last year. So we'd kind of gone back and forth, and we said, "Hey, look, let's do a demo." So we did a demo, showed him what we had, and his big thing, obviously, back then was how can I make my restaurant more efficient with less people?
Yep.
And so I was like, well, that's what we do. We train your staff to help them sell more wine. We provide tablets, like however you want to do this. And he looked at it and said, absolutely, but you have to be aware I'm going to write about it. He said, I've had several companies say, you know what, never mind, we're good, which I'll never understand that because, I don't know. But he's like, I'm going to write about it if you're all right with that. I'm like, absolutely, that'd be great. Because when you're starting out, you need as much press as you can. So I was like, man, this is you're helping me out. I'll give you a discount on
Absolutely.
pricing just for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So he tested it out, I think, for 6 to 8 months. And then he ended up shifting. I think he either removed, I think what he said, he removed the wine or his
Yep.
employees, like something happened to where his wine program was kind of decimated, unfortunately. And he wrote a good review, and I thought it was a very honest, transparent review. And then he started doing the pizza subscription stuff. So we got involved, and I was like, man, I just loved his story. I was like, I want in on that. So from then on, I've just been keeping in touch with him every couple weeks, and I can't talk about too much of what he's got in the works, but we'll be working together in the near future based off our previous conversations. But I think you'll see his review is like, this needs to be standard at every restaurant with a wine program, which is a lot coming from Andrew. So that was cool to have his vote of confidence there.
That's really cool. What do you think is your weakness?
Trying to do everything.
Your
Trying to do
is your
everything.
superpower and your weakness?
Yeah, I don't think I used to think it was a superpower. I think I used to think, man, okay, this is great, this energy level. And kudos again for Angela kind of saying, no, we need to focus, stay, I guess I'm the visionary or whatever. Like I'm always thinking, man, this would be great if. But we have so much. The challenge with the wine space, is it's so antiquated. It's so still paper driven. There's so much opportunity that can be built here. And obviously, my temptation is, well, let's build it all. Let's own it all. Let's be the juggernaut in the wine space. And that's just not possible. I mean, it's so there's just so much work that has to be done. So we're really focused on we're in the restaurant space. We have these three circles. We're going to execute on them well. We're going to stick with Toast. We're pretty much exclusive with them for the near future. We don't see any need to expand. So we're really trying to hone in on that golden bullseye, if you will. So yeah, that's my biggest weakness is trying to do it all at once.
Well, I mean, I want to give you the compliment that, I'm fortunate that we have lots of conversations with lots of tech founders, and, you know, there is a temptation, especially, having gone to the National Restaurant Show now for 3 years, how many different I'm still shocked there's this many point of sale
I
companies.
know. I
But it's
know.
like
Yeah.
every founder is trying to figure out, how do I integrate with all of these point of sale? And what you've done is you've drawn my attention because of how much you value that Toast partnership and that exclusive partnership, the marketing, the messaging, the storytelling. Like, Toast already has 100,000 customers. Like, that's
Right.
a lot of customers, and
That's a big TAM. Yeah.
they're just getting started, which is crazy to think because this is just the United States and we have a much bigger market. But like, staying focused and staying true to that partnership. We call them our primary technology partner. And by doing that, we've attracted a lot of other best in class things, other best in class partners. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it wasn't for your messaging, if you would have come on my radar. Like, if you weren't at that sales kickoff organization, at the kickoff for Toast, I was fortunate to go up on a customer panel there. We recorded content. I interviewed Aman Narang, coming in as a new CEO, co-founder, but coming
Yeah.
in his new CEO role, which, that episode's going to come out soon. But for me, I just want to commend you for staying the course and doing that, which shiny object syndrome, it happens to me, it happens to all of us. But there is something to be said about figuring out who are you true to and then building to that and knowing that there's plenty of Toast customers that have wine programs that you want to get in front of, and how do you just stay the course and get in front of more of them.
Absolutely. And just to kind of, give a shout out to Toast. So the reason that we're so focused is one, the customer, right? The customer that ends up going with Toast,
Exactly.
right?
Yes,
They're
thank
very
you.
technology driven,
Yes,
100%. So they're already primed to work with us versus, more legacy systems like Aloha, Micros. They're not ready. They're not ready, to put it
correct.
bluntly. They're just not ready for the technology kind of advancement that's required. Because if they haven't switched to Toast by now, then you know
Yeah.
that means they're the laggards, right, in the
Correct.
adoption chart, if you will, or bell curve. But no, and the partner ecosystem is great. It's been a lot of learning for sure. It's so many Toast sales reps too. I mean, I think last
Yes,
I heard, I could be way off, so don't quote me on this, but I think it's like 1,500 sales reps
lots.
nationwide, boots on the ground, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
So we've been really trying to dive deep with them, educate the reps, because that's kind of where a lot of referrals can come from for us. But no, Toast has done great. I think they've got a solid, obviously solid company, but their model with creating this really vetted technology partner platform, it was the absolute right call. Instead of doing what I tend to try and do, which is like, oh, let's build it all, they were like, well, we're going to do this really well and bring in the top of the top partners to execute on things we can't. So, yeah, it's been awesome.
Is there anything in the last year that you haven't done because of fear?
Hmm. I think Yeah, yeah. So the inventory piece, there's a little bit of hesitation there. One, I don't feel like that we are educated enough yet to completely dive into this absolute juggernaut. And that's what I did with WineView. I was like, okay, wine, here's the data points we need, and this is what
Yeah.
we're gonna do. And it got completely blown out of the water when you realize the size of the data that you have to pull together to build something like this. So yeah, the inventory management piece, it's an evolving space. Toast obviously is pushing into retail. I want to see where their piece ends and where we can pick up and be a good partner. Um, so yeah, that's one thing that it's definitely hesitation. I've already touched the hot pan and learned my lesson. So I'm trying not to do that again with jumping too quick.
So every single week on LinkedIn, on Wednesday and on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, we meet with you, the listener. We have an incredible community of digital hospitality leaders, entrepreneurs, tech founders, sales professionals, content creators. It's a chance for us to level up our game. We believe a rising tide lifts all ships. So if you're listening to this, please join us on LinkedIn. You can send me a message and I will send you a link to the room. That's free. We also do a social shout out. This is going to be a repeat complete shout out, but this is going to Dean LeBay. So Dean LeBay is part of our community, is one of the leaders that shows up every single week. He posts constantly. He has the courage to post. He's in restaurants. He helps build out restaurants with equipment in New Orleans. So if you're not following Dean LeBay, give him a follow. Dean, we love you. We appreciate you. Gary, who do you want to give a shout out to? One person on the WineView team or somebody that's made an impact on you recently?
Yeah, a big shout out to Chef Jim Smith. He is the owner of the Hummingbird Way. He was on Top Chef seasons 14 and
Sweet.
16, chairman of the Seafood Commission, just a total gangster in this space. He is a sommelier, he is a restaurant owner, and he was an early, I think he got in on like what the earliest, like as early as you could at IPO of Toast. Like, so
Oh,
he
wow.
is all in. He is just really quickly. I went into his restaurant and went from a get out of my restaurant, I don't want to talk to you, to 8 months later, he's advising us. He turned the product and the roadmap around for us, really helped out a lot.
Wow.
And now he's an investor in WineView. So,
So cool.
anybody in the Southeast that's willing to make a drive, some of the best seafood you can find. He's an excellent chef, great human being, and yeah, he's been awesome. So, Chef Jim Smith, that's my shout out.
I appreciate that. And Gary, are you posting? Can people connect with you? What's your favorite digital playground?
Yeah. LinkedIn is a great place. I like to kind of comment and react on others' posts. We need to post more.
You'll
This is
post
going
more.
to inspire me
You're gonna
to do
post
that.
more. You're gonna post more.
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. And then, of course, if anybody wants to shoot me an email, my line is always open, Gary@wineview.com.
Awesome. And as always, we appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you for sharing the episode. Please check out WineView. Check out the WineView app. If you know any restaurants that should be on the app, let them know about it. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We will catch you guys all next week. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.